Hello BookTube, welcome back to another round of mandatory channel reads, and this is video 7 in this series, so we've done so much, but this is going to be about historical romance. This is historical romance edition, one of my favorite genres literally ever, or subgenres, and so I have picked 7 historical romance books that I would recommend as a mandatory historical romance reads, and I can't wait to get talking about these books. I don't talk about historical romance enough as I do on my channel, I feel like, but I really should. And this is just to, help me talk about these more. So I've got 7 here, and there's going to be a lot spanning. We've got some bodice rippers in here. We got some contemporaries. We got contemporary Regency. Sorry, we got some literally everything. I've got these in no order whatsoever, so going to go back and forth if you want a certain era. But let's start. So the first book I have here that I would say is mandatory reading is A Duke Worth Fighting For by Christina Brighton. This is a cute, really great Regency romance about Marjorie. She's a widow of a soldier who died in the Battle of Waterloo, and she receives an anonymous letter like 4 years after his death, and she's still grieving that her husband actually deserted his post in Waterloo, and that she must pay £100 to keep this a secret to not ruin his like posthumous reputation, pretty much. And while that's going on, there's also Daniel. He's a duke, and he needs a wife to block his inheritance from like his cousin. Some inheritance drama, and it's really sweet. And they pretty much have like a marriage of convenience where they will marry so he can Daniel can give his will to Marjorie, and then Marjorie can get about £100 to pay off that bribe or whatever. And it's really sweet. Daniel's a very lovely duke. He has PTSD and anxiety because it turns out he was in the same Battle of Waterloo as Marjorie's husband was. He also has like an injured leg and is very has a lot of PTSD and anxiety around that. And Marjorie very cutely helps him overcome that trauma and just can like navigate society again. And Daniel helps Marjorie overcome her grief and loss of her husband, who actually is revealed to be dead later on. And the novel just follows them like a really cute slow burn, like a real quiet romance. I absolutely love this novel so much. I've read a couple of Christina's books, but I need to keep going. But this is just an essential read for me. I was swooped away by it. So we have that. Then the next book we have is a Tessa Dare. Now I could have thrown you every single Tessa Dare book ever, but I've just picked A Week to Be Wicked, one of my favorite Tessa Dare books. And this is about I can't say her name, Minerva, I think that's it. She's Highwood. She's a genealogist, right? And she needs to travel to Scotland to present like her fossil findings, but she needs like an escort or like a man to help her on this journey, and because a woman can't do it by herself. So she convinces Lord Colin of Sandhurst, right? And he's very much like a rake and all that. And to avoid the scandal of these two, men and women traveling together that aren't married, they decide to do like a fake relationship going on, and they quickly elope and they tell everyone we're just going on a quick honeymoon. And their journey is to Scotland is just full of so many fun misadventures. They only have one bed at a certain point in the novel. They also get robbed and the carriage breaks down. And despite all of this, they fall in love, even though they have completely different personalities. And it's Tessa Dare. You're going in for a genuinely fun time, because Tessa's one of my greatest writers ever, in my opinion, when it comes to historical romance. So we have some Tessa. We've got some modern Regencies out the way. Then I'm going to be talking about The Bride by Julie Garwood, some Highlander romance, the queen of Highlander romance. Julie Garwood walked, so all these other girlies could run. But I'm going to be talking about The Bride, and this is a Scottish romance. This is about Alec Kincard, or whatever his name is. And he's ordered to marry an English woman by King Henry to help secure like a peace deal between these two clans which are in battle, right? And he chooses Lady Jamie Jameson. And when they first meet, she's nervous because Alex is like a Highland barbarian and all that stuff. But Jamie turns out to be very witty and very intelligent and very funny. And so they get married, and the wedding scene is just iconic. She wears black to her own wedding, which I kind of love. And the novel follows pretty much their trouble back to Alex's like holding pretty much. And on the way, people are trying to murder Jamie because there's like a war going on between their families. And through that time, because this did come out in the 80s, so Jamie is a bit complacent pretty much, doesn't really do a lot. So Alec has to step in, of course, and save her from a lot of stuff. And because of that, Jamie realizes Alec's bravery and devotion under all his, masculinity and all that, because he's very much like an old school like man, where he's like, I'm very protected and guarded and all that, especially for historical romance at the time. And because Jamie's so sweet and he falls for her, he can lower that guard, and they fall in love, and they end up working out and really having the best situation in their arranged marriage. And what do you want me to say? It's Julie Garwood. Go read her. She's essential reading for historical romance. Speaking of essential, we're going to be talking about Joanna Lindsey here. One of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the most famous and influential, really. But I'm going to be talking about her second novel here, A Pirate's Love. This was released all the way back in 1978, so a very long time ago. But this is set in the 1600s, right? And this has got Benita. She's like a young woman traveling from France to the Caribbean to meet a count who she's never met, but they arranged to marry. But on her way, she's captured by the pirate Tristan, who literally just abducts and kidnaps her for ransom and takes her to his like mysterious pirate island hideout or whatever. And it happened. There's a lot of good stuff, and despite many of the things that we cringe at now when it comes to a lot of the consent and just assault that goes on in this novel, but what's her name? She slowly falls in love with Tristan, and while that's going on, there's also Tristan's like, I'm going to take some revenge on some people, because there's a man who genuinely killed his entire family, and he's like, I've got to take revenge. And so there's a lot of really great action scenes, to be honest. And the main girlie finally frees herself and escapes. But only then, as she flees, she realizes that this whole time, she truly loved Tristan. And that's the novel. I will say it has one of my favorite names ever in here. There's someone named Casey O'Casey, and that's just incredible. And also, I need to point out that Tristan shaves his beard because Brit I can't say her name, wants her to, which I thought was really cool. But it's ironic that she's like, you gotta shave your beard, like cut it off, when she literally has knee length hair that she can easily tie up and hide under a hat, which I thought was just really weird and funny, and very classic Joanna Lindsey that you would see later on in her historicals. But it's Joanna Lindsey. Try Bodice Ripper, why not? So, and this is a very early one too, but I've also got a very earlier Bodice Ripper on this list too. But we'll move on to a bit of a time jump. I'm going to be talking about No Greater Love by Danielle Steel. Now, I kind of like Danielle Steel. I'm always on the fence with her. I always adore her. Not adore, but I always really enjoy her more historical novels. When it comes to like the rich, just people troubles and yuppies and all that stuff, I don't really like it at all. It's not for me, but I really do enjoy No Greater Love. And this is set in 1912, right? And this involves the Titanic. And we have Edwina, she's 20, and she becomes the guardian of her 5 younger siblings after her parents died in the Titanic. And Edwina pretty much just gives up her dreams of marriage. They all move to San Francisco, where Edwina continues to run her family's newspaper business, and the novel pretty much follows her throughout the next decade as her younger siblings grow up and how she provides for them, but also what goes on in history at the time, the way Danielle really interweaves history too. Like, one of the brothers, Philip, is killed in World War One. And then there's a younger sister named Alexis, or Alec, I can't say it, but she dates an older man named George, and there's drama about that. And then there's another one. Oh no, so the older man was not named George. That's the other brother. George is one of the other brothers who moves to Hollywood, and so by the age of 32, Edwina's finally decides she finds her man at the end of the day. His name's Sam, and which gets awkward because this is very weirdly Daniel Steele, but so George moves to Hollywood, right? And then he has a wife, and Sam, who Edwina falls in love with, is what's her name? Is Helen's um like dad. It's very weird. I'm like, Danielle, that's a bit weird, but that's going on. But I didn't explain it right. But you have to read it, so it's mandatory reading, and it's just really sweet. Edwina, for a Danielle Steele, is a very really good heroine because a lot of her heroines can be just really cruel and just nasty people, really. And I really love the detail and research, and I love the time jumps in this novel as well. Again, I think this is a really solid Danielle Steele novel, but I am reading a couple of hers right now. I recently read The Devil's Daughter, which came out in January, and I was like, what happened? Because that novel wasn't the best. But I really do like No Greater Love. So that's on there too. Some more recent historical fiction in terms of time. And then let's go to a very early bodice ripper. We're going to be talking about Kathleen Wood-Light. You may know her for The Flame and the Flower, which is the first bodice ripper, set the scene for literally everyone. But I'm going to be talking about her second novel, The Wolf and the Dove, right? And this is some like Anglo-Saxon Middle Ages romance. This is set in 1066, right? And during the Norman invasion in England. And we follow a Saxon noblewoman, Leisnin, that's how you say her name, but I can't say these names. And she lives in Darkenwald, and she's got fiery red hair, and she's trying to protect all the people around her during an invasion. But her home is seized, and she's captured and claimed by Wulfgar, a knight. And they pretty much start off hating each other, but then they slowly grow to love each other. But while all this is going on, of course, Aslin is secretly using Wulfgar to help free her enslaved people, and I thought that was pretty cool. She's not she's very interesting because, again, this is very early bodice ripper, but the main heroine here actually has stuff to do. Like, she's got stuff planned on in her head, and especially when you compare it to The Flame and the Flower, like, that main girl literally does nothing. She tries, but then she gets put in her place very instantly as soon as she tries, and she's just may as well not even be there for the rest of the novel. But Aslin has actually got stuff to do. There's also another lady scheming to kill her and split their couple, but Wulfgar, of course, defends his honor and defends her. And there's actually a lot of really solid action and conflict scenes, which I really adore. But at the end, they marry, of course, and she becomes the Iron Wolf, and everyone's happy pretty much. Even though, if you were in that situation, it wouldn't be the most happiest thing ever. But again, this is just a very early bodice ripper. Everyone reads The Flame and the Flower, and Kathleen has had a very long career, and she wrote some other really great historical romances. But I think The Wolf and the Dove is a really solid one to pick, especially if you want more of a older historical romance. Again, this is set in the 1066, so we have that, and we have the last one we're going to be talking about today, and that is Texas Destiny by Lorraine Heath, right? And this is an American one. This is set in Texas in 1876, right? And we follow a mail order bride named Amelia Carson. She's from Georgia, and she's set to marry Dallas Lee. And he's like a rancher, but because Dallas is injured, he sends his grumpy, battle-scarred brother Hudson to pick her up and take her to the ranch, pretty much. And so the journey, when they eventually Hudson and Georgia finally meet to go back, their 3-month-long journey back to their house to meet Dallas. A lot of stuff happens. It doesn't take 3 months, it takes 3 weeks. And a lot of stuff happens at time because they slowly start to fall in love. She falls in love with the wrong brother, pretty much. And Hudson's, slowly lowers his guard. He's got a lot of scars. He's a battered man, really. But it turns out he's like really sensitive and loyal and just really sweet. He's got such a cute personality. And despite I know what I really love about this novel is that there's a real sense of like not doom and gloom really, but a sense of like they can't proceed with this love because um, she's getting with the wrong brother pretty much. So by the end of their trip, they realize that they have to end it, and you feel really sad because they're such a perfect couple. And then Dallas, being the baddie that he is, recognizes that Georgia's fallen in love with Hudson, and he's like, I'm just gonna let this go because such a great couple, happily ever after. And I just was absolutely swept away by Texas Destiny. It's such a sweet book. I need to keep going with the rest of the series, but I will get to that hopefully soon. But yeah, that's just some 7 recommendations for historical romance. I could have kept going. There was originally going to be 15, but I was like, no, we need to cut this down because this is going to be too much. But yeah, that's some mandatory reads, and I can't wait to keep on continuing with this series. And yeah, let me know what you think about the books I've mentioned today, and thank you so much for watching BookTube, and I will see you next time.